Rick here with another special edition of Rick's Tips. We found out this morning that I guess over the last few days our refrigerator, we have a Kenmore Elite, and it has been slowly dying on us. And this morning we woke up, it wasn't working hardly at all. They had no ice in our ice bin, and what was in there was just a solid chunk of mostly melted ice. First thing we did is we started looking around, and the first thing I did is took the bottom cover off the front here. Behind this cover you have your condenser back in there. I mean your condenser back in there. And if you have a house full of pets like we do, you get a lot of hair in your house and everything, and when this draws air in the bottom here, it's going to draw all that dirt and hair and dust in there, and it can clog up your coil. So I took the front cover off and we vacuumed that out real good, as much as I could, and then we blow out the rest with the air compressor. The water filter down here, they recommend you change it about every 3 to 6 months anyway. So I'm just going to get in the habit every time I change the water filter, I'm just going to clean out the coil. Keep that on a regular basis now. Plugged it back in, waited a while, and it still wasn't working right. So next thing we did, we emptied the freezer, side by side here. We emptied the freezer, and that's when Nori noticed that down here you can see it's all frozen over.
It's trying to work. Yeah,
but it can't get any air circulation because it's all frozen over here. So what we're gonna do now is Nori's got our steamer fired up, and we're gonna try to steam that off and get it cleaned up and see if that's what the problem is. So we'll be back and we'll let you know if that was the problem. It dawned on me that there's actually another coil back behind this panel, so I gotta take this panel off the other way so we can defrost the whole thing. That's probably what's frozen up on it. Now it's just got a 1/4 inch little nut driver here, and remove your screws. I'll let you know that you do have to take the whole entire inside of your freezer apart. I had to take all the sliders off the side, the back panel, and take the upper drawers off. I'll show you once I got this off. There's a great big chunk of ice sitting right here. That's where the air flows through over to the refrigerator side, which was called making that not get cold. And you can see the coil down here is completely frozen at the bottom. So we're going to steam that and get it defrosted. Anyway, don't be afraid to do this on your own. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Just make sure you use the right tools for it. Like Noreen said, don't be using a butter knife to take your refrigerator apart. So, but there are quite a few things you can do on your own, and it did save you a huge repair bill. Unfortunately, sometimes the only way to see if you fix something is to put it all back together and see if it works. We did that. It lasted a little more than a day, and then it froze up again. So that tells me I have to dig into it deeper and do some more troubleshooting on it. Now, more research told me that, and something I didn't know, but that your coil unit here, your evaporative coil, actually has a defroster in it, and that's going to be this dark rod here at the bottom, goes up through the sides and up to the top. I've already disconnected both ends of it, so we're going to test it for resistance. We'll do that now. After carefully hooking up our test leads, you can see that we have a fair amount of resistance. If this had stayed at 1, that means your coil is broken, or your heater coil is broken. And if it has no resistance at all, it means it's just totally burnt out. So you want to see some resistance on this. Okay, so after further reading and a little bit of more research, I narrowed it down to a few possibilities. One I don't even want to talk about because that'd probably be cheaper to get a new fridge. The other possibility is that there's a diffuser up here in this corner that goes over into the refrigerator side. It allows the cool air to go into your refrigerator, keep it cool. I don't think it's that, because the next morning the fridge was cool, so I know there's cool air getting through it. And the other possibility is the Bimetallic Switch that was right down here. This is what activates your defroster unit. It tells it to turn on, turn off when it senses ice on the coils. I can't test it, so I got no real idea if that's what it is. I'm just taking a guess. This was only $35 for a new one, whereas the diffuser up here was like $80. So I'm going to start with the cheaper one first, and hopefully that's what it is. So anyway, since this switch goes right into a connector right here, you have to splice it in. So I already cut the switch out of here. This is where it was. I'm just going to splice these wires together and put the switch in. And hopefully that's what it was. Okay, so it's about a day and a half later, and that seems to be what the problem was. So here's the old switch. I cut the wires close up to the switch so I'd have more room on the other end of the wires to get it spliced in there, the new one spliced in there. Because unless you have really narrow shoulders, it's really hard to get in there to work. So I was still reaching as far as I could as it was. But anyway, to recap, if your freezer is freezing up and your refrigerator is getting warm, check your coil, make sure see if it's freezing up. If it is, first thing you do is take your base plate off down here, clean out your condenser underneath this fridge best you can. I vacuumed as much as I could. I had to take my air compressor and blow out the rest. It really didn't make that much of a mess, but it seemed to do the trick. You can see a little bit of frost building up down here inside the coil there. That's gonna be normal because I had the door open all this time putting it back together. That was the problem. That switch here was bad. So if you vacuum out your coil and it still freezes up, go behind your panel here on your coil and check your switch. It said it was only like $35, so I went ahead and changed it, and that was the problem. Okay, this week's beer is a Trader Joe's KBC Blueberry Wheat Ale. It is surprisingly good, and the thing about this one is when we were at Trader Joe's, they had a display out in the middle of the aisle. Somebody was mopping or sweeping or something. They bumped the display, it fell over, and one of these broke on the floor, and it filled the whole store up with a nice aroma of blueberry. It just smelled so good. I had to get some. It is really surprisingly good. It's nice and crisp and got a nice blueberry flavor to it. It smells like blueberry, and I really enjoy it. So give it a try. Another thing, if your ice maker is not working, check this first. Make sure you don't have a stuck ice cube in here before you call a repairman and have them charge you at least $50 for a service call, just to unstick an ice cube. So I hope I helped. But touch is something you can use. So until next time, we'll see you later.